The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
A recent report revealed that in the last 3 months, a record 97 femicides were recorded in Kenya, a rise of roughly 1 woman per day. On International Human Rights Day, women and human rights activists took to the streets in Kenya to protest the alarming rise in femicide cases, but were met by the police who used force to disperse them. So, what's happening in Kenya, and how is the government planning to address the scourge? We'll talk about that shortly. Welcome to World of Africa. I'm Eric Njoka. Creation of the Alliance of Sahel States has enabled these military regimes to at least partially insulate themselves from outside pressure for a return to civilian rule. ECOWAS, as well as Western states, initially pressed the military regimes to hasten the transition. All 3 governments have said they are disposed at some stage in the future to return power to civilians, but are put off taking the steps to do so. The 3 regions say they want to eradicate terrorism, assert their sovereignty, and defend their territory against foreign threats. Here is our cover report. The 66th Summit of ECOWAS, or the Economic Community of West African States, began in Abuja, Nigeria, with Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger notably absent. These 3 coup-hit nations have severed ties with the bloc accusing it of unfair coup-related sanctions. Chairing the meeting was Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye was set to report to the bloc after he mediated with Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso at the previous summit. The three nations will have a 6-month grace period after their scheduled exit from West Africa's main political and economic group next month, during which the ECOWAS bloc will try to persuade them to stay. The summit was seen as a chance to address the impending withdrawal of the three countries on January 29, 2025, a year after they jointly announced they would leave in a reversal of decades of regional integration.
The authority decides to set the period from 29 January 2025 to 29 July 2025 as a transitional period, and to keep ECOWAS doors open to the three countries during the transition period. The authority extends the mandate of President Faure of Togo, and President Diomaye Diakhar Faye of Senegal to continue their mediation role up to the end of the transition period to bring the three member countries back to ECOWAS.
ECOWAS has so far failed in its goal to push them to reconsider, while the three countries in the insurgency-torn Central Sahel region have set up their own alliance, sought ever closer alignment in defense and other areas, and mooted abandoning the West African Currency Union. Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso reaffirmed their decision to leave as irreversible and jointly declared that their territories would remain visa-free for all ECOWAS citizens post-exit. This move could be an effort to address warnings that their departure threatens the bloc's freedom of movement and its common market of 400 million people.
Nationals of the ECOWAS have the right to enter, circulate, reside, settle and leave the territory of the member states of the Confederation of Sahel States in compliance with the national laws in force. However, the member states reserve the right to refuse entry into their territory to anyone who falls into the category of inadmissible immigrants.
Their withdrawal would cap a tumultuous period for the Sahel, where a string of coups since 2020 has swept military authorities to power who have fostered closer ties with Russia at the expense of former colonial ruler France and other one-time allies from the region and elsewhere.
I call on all member states to redouble their efforts in ensuring that decision reached here translates into tangible benefit for our citizens.
The three breakaway states have already formed their own confederation, the Alliance of Sahel States, after severing ties with France and pivoting towards Russia. They held their own ministerial-level meeting Friday in Niger's capital Niamey. All three states have gone through military coups in recent years and are all battling jihadist insurgencies. ECOWAS member state Guinea is also run by a military government after a 2021 coup. Tensions with ECOWAS spiked after the bloc threatened military intervention and imposed heavy sanctions following the July 2023 coup in Niger, the region's sixth in 3 years. ECOWAS has since softened its position, though member states are split over the best course of action to deal with the military government. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One. Police disrupted peaceful demonstrations with tear gas and arrested several protesters in Nairobi's central business district. These actions drew widespread condemnation from civil society organizations, including the Kenyan Human Rights Commission, Amnesty Kenya, the Law Society of Kenya, the Human is My Alliance, and the End Femicide KE movement. They decried the arrests and violent police response as a direct attack on Kenya's democratic principles and the human rights of its citizens. The urgency of these demonstrations stems from a chilling report revealing that 97 femicide cases were recorded in the past 3 months, a rate of roughly 1 woman killed every day. This is compounded by the fact that at least 10 women were killed in January 2024 alone, showing a deepening crisis and a concerning pattern.
The first few days of December were rocked by scenes like these in Kenya's capital of Nairobi. Activists, mostly women, had assembled in the nation's central business district for a march, decrying the spate of violence against women and rise of female murders across the East African nation.
We just our lip gloss and water bottles. They are lodging tear gas canisters at us. We were not even armed. We were just trying to make sure that everybody is aware that this is a crisis, this is a pandemic that we need to fight against.
And I feel like not enough is being done to curb or stop femicide or even violence against women. But I do know that there are organizations and groups that are doing their best. And that's why we are here today, to make sure we are heard.
The reaction by the Kenyan police against peaceful protests and activists has been highly condemned world over. It was ironical that the female officers were at the forefront of arresting the protesters, in some cases even beating them. Yet the same force has had some of their officers being victims of femicide.
So far they are tear gassing us for saying end femicide, so I think they are speaking loud and clear. You cannot say you are part of the solution, and when you try to bring solutions to you, you try to sabotage us. There's no reason why you should send armed police against people with placards who are telling you as a government this is a problem that needs to be solved, and you're throwing tear gas at them. To what end? So the government is part of the problem, according to me.
The march follows calls from rights bodies for action over femicide in the country, with the Kenyan National Commission for Human Rights saying in November that 97 women had been murdered in the past 3 months. President William Ruto addressed Parliament on the reports, labeling gender-based violence tragic and unacceptable, and urging society to address the issue. Amnesty International and the Law Society of Kenya released a joint statement condemning the police's actions, saying it sent a chilling message to peaceful protesters.
To recognize femicide, that's the first thing, is to recognize that there is a problem, and to speak about it, to fight for women's rights, to be able to equip communities with enough resources so that women can have halfway houses when you're in an abusive relationship or in an abusive family or neighborhood, that you can have a halfway house to escape to. And if we don't have that...
Kenyan police have previously come under international scrutiny over their tough approach to demonstrations. Peaceful anti-government rallies earlier this year spiraled into violence, leaving at least 60 dead, according to rights groups. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
Both the Sudan Army Forces and RSF escalated their use of explosives and remote violence in multiple regions of Sudan, most notably in Khartoum and Darfur, as battle events decreased across the country. The escalation in remote violence alongside the expanding conflicts in Blue Nile State comes amid the failure of the most recent round of ceasefire talks in Switzerland, sponsored by the United States and Saudi Arabia, to bring the warring parties to the negotiation table. Here's a report.
Mayhem and pandemonium rocked Darfur. An army airstrike fell on a market in one of the deadliest days of fighting in Sudan's devastating war that has extended for almost 20 months with no end in sight. Emergency Lawyers, a humanitarian rights group, said that more than 100 were killed and hundreds injured. The army has stepped up airstrikes in half of the country that the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces controls, while the RSF has staged deadly raids on villages and intense artillery strikes. Even before the dust could settle in Darfur, the Rapid Support Forces fired heavy artillery fire at an army-controlled sector of Omdurman, part of Khartoum state. Emergency Lawyers said at least 20 people had been killed, including at least 14 who were riding on a bus that was hit. The state government, controlled by the army, said 65 people had been killed and that other casualties had been transferred to nearby Alna Hospital. Bodies in body bags arrived at hospitals, while the injured were inspected by Khartoum's governor, Ahmed Osman Hamza. Shelling renewed at the famine-stricken Zamzam displacement camp on December 4th after a lull the previous day in attacks by the Rapid Support Forces. 7 people were injured after shells were fired at the densely populated camp that holds at least 500,000 people. The RSF, which is fighting the army for control of nearby Al-Fashir, the state capital of North Darfur state, had begun attacking the camp. More than 2,000 people had fled as a result of those attacks, according to International Organization for Migration.
There is a lot of hardship and suffering in this place. One of the things is that people here are eating umbas. Umbas is the waste left over after pressing the oil from peanut shells. And after they produce the oil, we take over the umbas. Here it is. People here are eating this umbas, the waste of the peanut oil production in oil mills, cooking it with oil and salt and eating it.
In August, global food security experts declared that Zamzam was experiencing famine. Since then, the World Food Programme has been able to deliver some food aid, but on Wednesday said additional deliveries had been disrupted.
These are the first WFP trucks to reach Zamzam with life-saving food aid, destined for people in famine conditions in that camp. WFP is surging its food assistance to all locations, focusing on risk of famine areas. What we need is expanded, sustained access so that we can reach all of the people in Sudan that are facing starvation.
Rights activists said at least 127 people, mostly civilians, were killed in Sudan by barrel bombs and shelling from the warring sides. The 20-month-old war between the army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces has been turning increasingly bloody as ceasefire efforts have stalled and crises elsewhere have dominated world attention. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
The 6th edition of the Masai Olympics, which intertwines culture and talent to curb human-wildlife conflicts, was held at Kimana Sanctuary, Kajiado South constituency. The Olympics, which were started by Big Life Foundation and community leaders, has helped in preserving the region's lions as they had decreased from about 30,000 in the 1970s to just over 2,000. There are now over 250 of them in the Amboseli ecosystem. The biennial event brought together Masai Morans from across the Amboseli ecosystem to celebrate their heritage while protecting wildlife.
A crowd erupts in cheers as a young Masai woman parrots over the finish line. the latest participant in the Masai Olympics, a reimagining of a traditional coming-of-age rite in the rolling Kenyan grasses. Hundreds gathered in the Kimana Reserve, some 200 kilometers from the capital Nairobi, to watch 160 athletes, including 40 young women, compete in the Games. The young people were taking part in a reinterpretation of the Ola Mayo rites undertaken by young Masai men to prove their skills, identify their leaders and attract girlfriends. But the traditional killing of a lion and exclusion of girls have been replaced with sporting prowess and increased visibility for women.
Most of the ladies, they find themselves that they are just being abused in our traditional. They are just there to be married, bring cows to the family, bring more dowry. But some events like this are enjoyable because
the game saw participants sprint or run over grass for distances ranging from 100 to 5,000 meters. The competitions are sometimes a twist on local customs. In one, athletes must lob wooden clubs used to ward off hyenas into a small basket for points. And while women only compete in 100 and 1,500 meters, plans are afoot to expand the field.
It was a challenge because when we started the program, we have opposition from other elders who were saying we are selling their children, their son to the white people. So it was a challenge, but we tried to go around and show them film. Even me personally, I feasted to the Laibon, the spiritual leaders in Tanzania, northern Tanzania, and I tried to educate him first. Then he agreed to talk to the warriors in front of the camera, and he said no more lion killing. So there we started to talk to them, we showed them film until we changed their mind.
The event was created in 2012 by community leaders and conservation group Big Life Foundation. The intention was to help preserve the region's lions, which had plummeted from about 30,000 in the 1970s to just over 2,000.
I can now say, when I stand here, I can now say, since we started the Masai Olympics in 2012, up to now, there is no even one single lion hunt plan, which was planned by the warriors.
The events have helped, with more than 250 lions now roaming the Amboseli ecosystem from fewer than 20 in the early 2000s. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
Renowned for its durable texture and intricate patterns, Aso-Oke fabric, a cultural treasure of the Yoruba people in southwest Nigeria, is capturing worldwide attention. Designers are now blending Aso-Oke with contemporary fabrics to create versatile fusion pieces, elevating its appeal on the global stage.
Under shaded trees, artisan weavers work at wooden looms, weaving Aso-Oke fabric, a traditional Yoruba textile. Aso-Oke is hand-loomed by the Yoruba community from southwest Nigeria. For Abdulin Mariam, this trade is a lifelong source of income.
This is our choice, but if you don't have a passion for it, you may not be able to do it. In this town, I would say that after this craft, there is no other job that can generate the same amount of money. There are no companies here, nothing else. That's why this is everyone's chosen line of work.
The fabric, known for its hardy texture and intricate designs, has gained popularity across borders, with a day set to celebrate it. In early December, a festival promoted community engagement and supported local artisans and businesses. The event featured a fashion show, weaving demonstrations, exhibitions, and a marketplace. Some view Aso-Oke as old-fashioned and labor-intensive, making it less appealing. Younger people may prefer faster, more affordable fashion options, disconnecting from Aso-Oke cultural significance. Designers are combining Aso-Oke with Western fabrics to create fusion pieces, making it more versatile.
The Aso-Oke festival we are doing is progressing our business and it's promoting Aso-Oke. We cannot be wearing foreign fabrics all the time. If you look at the same Aso-Oke closely, you'll realize that it's different from every other fabric. After Aso-Oke, there's no other fabric that can contest it.
In May, when Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle visited Nigeria, Meghan wore a yellow dress with Aso-Oke fabric draped over her shoulders. Aso-Oke production is focusing on sustainable practices using eco-friendly materials like natural dyes and organic cotton blends. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
And that's the latest from the African continent. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Out of Africa. Share your stories with us on all our social media platforms and also on our website. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Eric Njoka. It's goodbye from me.
In a year that reshaped the world, 2024 brought seismic shifts, bold moves, and unforgettable moments that will echo through history around the globe. Wars continued to ravage nations, but new alliances and power shifts began to rewrite the rules of geopolitics. 2024 also bore witness to nature's fury. Climate change fueled deadly wildfires, devastating floods, and unprecedented storms. Devastating wars to technological revolutions. 2024 was the year that changed everything. The Game Changers 2024. The year that reshaped our future. Only on WION. World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.